Plant-powered first aid was a phrase that intrigued me, and I got to speak to the person behind it. Today's podcast guest is Jodi Scott, CEO and co-founder of Green Goo. The company has a mother-daughter-sister dynamic, with each person bringing their vision and expertise to the business. Jodi herself has a master's degree in health psychology and really believes in the mind-body connection. Today, she explains to me exactly why Green Goo came to be and how their products can help when we can't always rely on pharmaceuticals, and why sometimes you do need the power of those plant-based products and how effective they can be on many skin conditions. So Jodi, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. And what I wanted to start with was by saying you have got some amount of credentials. So if anyone was ever to start what you were starting, it would have to be yourself, because when I was reading your background and I was reading about how it led you to where you're at, it's no wonder you decided to focus on this particular area. So I'll let you fill everyone in. What exactly is it that you do and how did it come about?
Thank you. And thank you for having me. So, my mom's sister and I sort of joined forces almost a decade ago to build Green Goo. And it's such an extension of who we are, to your point. So, I have a master's in health psychology. At the time, I was in private practice. I was training resident physicians into the biopsychosocial model and really looking at the mind body relationship. At the same time, my sister was going to herb school. She's a certified herbalist and a midwife. And, she really became incredibly passionate about what these plants could offer. So she was sort of more Eastern medicine. I was more Western medicine. And so I was looking in the science of this. We're seeing and observing results as she's making these beautiful medicines from these plants. But then I'm going, why? How? How did this happen? And so I start getting into the organic chemistry of plants. And at the same time, we grew up in the military, and my mom is a self taught computer programmer and website developer. So when we started saying, "Hey, mom, we want to create these products," it was easy for her to say, "Okay, let's just, let's make some labels and let's go sell these at the farmer's market and see how it goes." So little did we know the three of us were sort of like the perfect storm, this trio to be able to start this journey. And so we're selling these plant-based salves, these healing emollients for your skin. And the people just keep coming to us and saying how it has changed their lives, whether it is a son who had such severe eczema that he didn't want to go to school. And, his mom comes to the booth just crying, saying, "Oh my goodness, I am so grateful for these products. We have been, to doctors and specialists and nothing has worked. And now he's confident. He wants to go to school. He's not uncomfortable." People who have suffered from chronic pain or, bruise easily or what have you. And so then I started going, okay, I'm going to go look at this first aid space, the category, that's in the market and really try to better understand it. And I was amazed. First of all, this was a space that had not been disrupted for, many decades. Um, and what I found is that the natural consumer was willing to abandon their natural ethos because they thought that these were the only products that could get the job done for a cut or a scrape or what have you. But then the conventional consumer was like, I don't really care what the ingredients are. I just want something that works better because I find going to the doctor inconvenient. And so I said, y'all, I think there's something really special here that we can disrupt the first aid category. And let's also bring sustainability because there's a ton of tubes being thrown into the landfill. Let's see if we can bring a more sustainable and plant-based solution that's superior in efficacy. And oh, let's also bring a lifestyle brand and some philanthropy to this space. So it was quite the disruptor. And it was long before the plant-based revolution really came to the forefront, which we're seeing really in the last maybe year or two.
Amazing. The stars must have aligned for you and you thought, like, this has landed on our laps. We have to do something here. Is that how it felt? As if you just couldn't avoid what had all just happened all at the same time?
100%. And it was the testimonials and the people coming to us saying, "Hey, this has to happen." And it wasn't easy, right? No one was talking about plant-based then. And then our process is incredibly unique. So we make most of the ingredients ourselves. So unlike most companies, they bring pre-made extracts to their manufacturing facility, then they put it in the product. We're compounding from plants. We're extracting from the plants. The plants come to our manufacturing facility. We take it through this process that yields the highest amounts of the medicinal properties from the plants, which is also a sustainable process that we worked hard on. And then all of these products have a unique blend that goes in them. And so when we started visiting with manufacturers and they were like, "No way, we're not making this for you. No way." And it took a manufacturer who we met at a trade show, and he was in a completely different line of business, and his son had eczema. He used our product, and he came back maybe a week later and was like, "I don't know how we're going to scale this, but the world needs these products, so we're going to figure it out." And that product is used in John Hopkins in their scleroderma and skin condition department to this day. Um, and if it hadn't been for him actually being a user himself, we may not have ever had the opportunity to scale these products.
The way things are meant to be. I always love that when it's evident that something happened at exactly the right time and it was clearly meant to be. And I'm guessing that you must have had a healthy, cautious approach to what you were going to do because of your previous training, your knowledge, that you wouldn't have just blindly believed. Because an aromatherapist. So when I trained, I understood you were taught the power of botanicals, the power of plants. But you would speak to people and they'd say, "Oh, I'm sure a little bit of oil will do this, and I'm sure that scent will do that." So you do get people that are like, "No, smells nice, that's where it ends," and they just don't buy it. So did you have a healthy level of caution when you were starting the process because you didn't want to either oversell it or you didn't want to jump too far before you understood the power of these herbs? Were you just extra careful when you got started?
It's so true. So, I mean, these products are really a reflection of who we are. And my sister, mom, and I are healers by nature who want to exceed expectations and make you so happy. And so, anytime we went into product development, we had to go through a very specific process to ensure that the efficacy was going to be superior. And if it wasn't going to be superior, it didn't get to be released in the market. Because what we didn't want to be is, here we were forging the path for plant-based alternative OTC products. If we did not produce superior results, we would not get a second chance. And there was already huge hesitation around a plant-based first aid because again, everyone was willing to abandon that notion that a plant could actually produce the results that it did. So to your point, it was an interesting combination of caution meeting it had to check all the boxes before the consumer was going to have access to it. But then the flip side of that is you had to have a ton of tenacity and fortitude because when you're sitting in front of a national pharmacy chain and you are presenting a plant-based solution to a product that has been on the market for some time, and you're saying, I can give you better results, it takes some time to prove that, and thankfully, the buyers end up using the products themselves and become fans themselves, and then they're willing to give you a chance. But then step 2, you gotta have a healthy budget to be able to compete with some of the other products as well, which is another challenge as you're sort of an emerging grassroots, family-owned, women-owned brand.
And the website is so easy to navigate, and you make it really clear what every product can do. And there are blogs and there's a lot of background information. So I think if anyone's at any level of understanding or knowledge, or no knowledge at all, you've made it really accessible. What I loved was plant powered first aid was the key. I mean, that really does explain what it is. Do you find that anyone comes to you to tell you about how a product has changed a condition, changed a situation, and they may again have had zero knowledge of you or your brand, or even again the power of plants, but they felt that the need to contact you, maybe social media, email, to let you know the difference? Does that happen?
All the time, and truly, it is the customers that have given me the strength and the commitment to continue to forge this path despite all of the challenges in doing so. Because these testimonials, when they're willing to take the time out of their day and say, for example, we have a customer and she was Jane Doe number one, pulled from the World Trade Center. And her pain was so severe. She lost a lot of skin in her injuries.
Mhm.
And Green Goo pain relief was the only product helping her with her opioid withdrawal. So fast forward, 5 years, and she wants to start that journey. And she emailed, and thankfully, the culture in our organization is very much reflective of wanting to help our customers. And so thankfully, my customer service rep came to me and said, we have a customer who wants to buy this in a larger volume because she's using it so much for her opioid withdrawal. And I said, "Okay." We went to the manufacturing facility. I said, "I know this is kinda out of the scope, but can you make some big jars for her?" And she became not only, an ongoing customer, but a friend, we stay in communication and we check in, and I have customers who have diabetes or are, paraplegic, and they have wounds that they can't heal historically, so their quality of life has been compromised. And now they use the Green Goo first aid product, and they're like, "My wounds are healing for the first time," and they're comfortable. So it is those stories and those testimonials that make all the difference for us.
When you were saying that, it just occurred to me that it must be like a community, because when you buy a first aid product in a pharmacy, even in a supermarket, you're just buying a product because you've got something that you just want to see a result in, and you just pick it up and you hope for the best. But what you've done is you've created a community, and these people are reaching out and they're telling you their stories. And even though, touch wood, I've not had any long-term pain conditions, when you said that, I could imagine that if you had something like that, and then your company creates a plant-based product that not only works, but works very well, and you're open to communication, that must also help with your head in addition to the physical situation. So do you find that too, that you, because I noticed on the website that you say it's not just about the physical, it's about the emotional too. So do you find that's an extra level that you bring to people?
Absolutely. Acts of service is my love language. And so uh, these products absolutely embody it, down to how we source our ingredients, how we make the products, the containers that it goes in, um, and including the philanthropic partners that we work with. For example, one of my dreams was, how can we impact the planet more with these products? And I found an opportunity in Afghanistan to help women refugees who were being or were coming home after, leaving and being exiled, and they had no means for economic resources. And when you get into some of these remote locations, it's not, you can't just go build a strip mall and say, now we're creating jobs. You really want to have something that complements their lifestyle. And what's great about these plants is they don't need a lot of resources, which makes them incredibly sustainable. They don't need a lot of water. The more you harvest them, the more they grow. There are native versions in different countries. So we taught these women how to grow the plants and then how to make these topicals in different ways and shapes and forms, and then sell them at the farmers market so they could bring economic development back home. And in doing so, what we found is, by empowering women and mothers, the money stays in the home and it keeps families together, and it helps disrupt, some other trouble that maybe kids could get into. And so it's fun to look at these products in different dimensions on how you can help others.
I am so impressed. And that all takes your commitment, your time, but I can see that you've got the energy. So you must feel as if what you give out, you get back. And I can imagine that that's what keeps it all going and keeps it moving. But how inspirational! It's amazing. And then the other thing that I thought was, again, it was so on board with how so many of us feel about the products that we need when we need a first aid product. It's essential that we get it. So we want to pick something that works for what we're looking for. And again, I'm so on board with the plant-based. And I liked that your vision, again, You've mentioned it, to empower change. So I've written it here: empower change, redefine natural body care through time-honed traditions and purposeful plant-based ingredients. So it's, again, covering what you said. It's about making sure that when we go onto the website and we're looking for products, that we understand that you're not just in a lab throwing products together and seeing what sticks, and you're not telling us this will do this and we just blindly believe it. You're making sure that everything is really open and honest, and we get to see what's in the product and we get to understand what's behind it. Was that so important for you, that the people that buy from you completely understand the transparency?
I do, and I think it's what the consumer appreciates, and so it's important to offer that to them. I mean, they're taking the time to purchase your product. You want to have them get the results that they want, and then also have the opportunity because they are impacting the world every time they purchase that product. And that's just a beautiful energy to be having. And, there's even fun little taglines on the products that make you smile just to give you a little giggle as well. Um, and so it's been fun. And I think too, to go back to, how they embody these products embody us, that's where leadership is so important as well. I make sure that I'm doing the work myself. We have a saying, stay sage, and making sure that we're doing our work as individuals to be an authentic reflection of the products. And I find that when you do the work yourself, you see the impact that it has on your team, on your products, on the relationships you have with buyers and customers. And so I take that wholeheartedly.
And do you have different products that become more popular and more necessary at different times of the year, or is it pretty consistent? Like, does winter mean that there's going to be an uptake in a certain product, whereas summer it's something else, or is it pretty consistent?
It's fairly consistent minus, the obvious like bug spray and sunscreens. I find that different skin types adopt different products as their annual product, whether if you have more chronic dry skin and, you border psoriasis, eczema, or just in more severe weather conditions, maybe drier areas. So they might use the dry skin formula more often. The repair, which is our number one selling product, I find that this one not only helps if you're looking for more hydration,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of hydrating properties in it, but it also has an anti-aging component to it. So you find that you may be using the dry skin formula from shoulders down, but you're more frequently using the repair because we tend to focus more on our face, if you will, with the anti-aging components. And then our first aid product's super fun because although it was meant to be a topical antiseptic, we looked at the market and we said, a lot of times you just don't have your first aid OTC product with you when you most need it.
Mhm.
And then you end up with a bug bite or a bee sting, or you're, on your bike and you're a professional biker and you get a wreck and you've got this gashing, wound that you need to have slow down the bleeding. So
Mhm.
what we did is we made our first aid product your first aid kit anywhere you go. So it's for cut and scrapes, but then it also takes the sting out, takes the itch out, slows down the bleeding, and speeds up the healing. So you find that you've got a first aid kit with you everywhere you go, which we've never had before.
Mhm.
So it is, when we say changing the way you think about first aid, we try to take it down to that level of how can we provide more solutions for you outside of what we have been originally trained, that you need this one product for a cut, you need this one product for dry skin, and you can actually really declutter your first aid cabinet.
I like that, because as I get older, I think you either go one way or the other. I think some people, the goal is to have a cabinet filled with products, and the more products they've got, they just feel quite proud. I've got something for this and something for that, and they want to have the stack of them. And then I think you go the other way, where you just want to have effective products. And for me, and I know for a lot of people, I don't want to have lots of chemicals. I don't want to overburden. That's an argument, because I'm sure you hear people that say if it's on the market, it's safe. But then I do hear so many other people, and I tend to agree, that they say, no, you can definitely overload, you can overburden with chemicals. So when you're saying that one product can do so many things, I'm so much more on board with that. Do you find that a lot of people come to you for that reason too? The word clean, I'm funny about using it because sometimes people take that and they think that you're suggesting that all other products are dirty, but it's not that. It's about choosing not to have unnecessary ingredients in it. So, do you feel that people come to you because that's what they want, an effective product that works, that doesn't have lots of unnecessary ingredients?
We do. We lead with efficacy first so that we're not siloing the natural consumer versus the conventional consumer. Now, do I love that we convert the conventional consumer where they say, I've never used a natural product before, use your product and it works so well. Now I'm more open to natural. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because there's an opportunity for you to, one, reduce the toxins in your own body, but then also think about every time you take a shower, the toxins you put on your body go into the water, go into the environment. So there's an environmental component to it as well. There's a time and a place for some wonderful advanced medicine for us to use to be able to treat unique situations. But I think the OTC space, I mean, when you read labels, most of the time they say, okay, you can use this for 5 days, but after that, don't use it anymore because it can cause all of these other conditions. And most people seeking a solution in the over the counter space have chronic skin conditions that are looking for long term use. And so, what's great about these products is you're not going to have, an antibiotic resistant situation. Um, you're not going to have a buildup of toxins that are going to be hard on your organs, and you can use it for long term use and also get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah. And just out of curiosity, do you feel as if skin conditions are becoming more prevalent? I've never heard more about people having skin issues, skin upsets. Do you think you're hearing about eczema, psoriasis more and more frequently, or is it staying roughly about the same? Because I'm guessing you'll know more than many about who's reaching out and who's buying what.
That is the magic question. So, um, this particular space, people looking for topical therapeutics, is the fastest growing category. And we are seeing, to your point, a vast number of more reported cases of chronic skin conditions. So, whether they had them before or not, and now they're just reporting them, that could be the scenario. But the argument has been made that, our water, our food, our stress, our medications, and toxin buildups. I mean, our skin is our largest organ, right? And so it oftentimes reveals more about what's going on in your body than other places because we can't see our internal organs, right? So, all of these things that we're being exposed to, processed foods and what have you, may be contributing to an increase in these skin conditions. Yes.
Yeah. It's fascinating because it feels as if it's more prevalent. And as you said, there's all of those factors that would make a lot of sense. And then finally, I wanted to say as well that you do so much. And I was interested in your app too. So I am on board with mindfulness and gratitude. So did you decide that you wanted to make the app to just enhance the ability to approach each day, each situation with just that calmness and the right attitude to not, because again, you're working in business, you're working in an industry that is hectic. Was it important for you to make sure that every day you almost have a reset and you go in with the attitude of, we will take the days it comes and we will handle it?
Yep. No, truly, you nailed it perfectly. In my sage journey, I found one of the biggest gifts was gratitude, regardless of positive or negative experiences, different meditation practices, even over exercise, and diet and all the things. When I end my day with gratitude, I find, to your point, that reset. And there's a scientific background or explanation to how gratitude can impact your overall health and wellness, but you really feel it. You really embody it. And then throughout the day, when you're intentional with gratitude, you meet problems a little differently. You're meet people differently. You're more empathetic, you're more curious. You navigate, you look for gift and opportunities. And so that gift has been so impactful for me that if I can encourage others to end their day with gratitude, I'm confident that their health and wellness and quality of life will be severely improved. And so that's the gift that I hope that people can come and take away from that gratitude app and taking the time and the intention to do so because it is overwhelmingly beautiful in how it can change your day to day.
And I would love for people to check that out, because I think that often you might think that you're approaching the day with a calm mind and a positive attitude, but you haven't genuinely taken that time to be mindful and to, as I say, to reset. So what is the name of your app so I can make sure that people can take a look?
Yes, it's called Self. So you can look up Self, and then if you also include the gratitude awareness as your keywords, you'll find it.
I think that's so important. And just to finish off, do you have any plans for the next year or the next few years with the website, with the products? Are there always things in development?
We do have some fun products in the queue that we're really excited about. Some pretty great partnerships that we're going to be working with, and even bringing in some brands that are impactful and like-minded that we're going to be bringing under the portfolio. So we're really excited to continue to, yeah, heal and hug all at the same time.
See, that's right up my street. And what's the name of the website in case anyone wants to go and check it out today?
Greengoo.com.
So that's nice and easy to remember. I genuinely mean it. There's not many people that you speak to when you can tell that what they're doing and what they're creating is coming from a really excited and positive space. And the fact that it's a family business too, and everyone brings their own part to it. There's not often that happens, because quite often you do hear about people saying that the family business has its moments, and sometimes there's an idea and it doesn't quite gel. So for you all to complement each other so beautifully and to see it on the website, got great video too, and it makes it really easy to understand. I would honestly say that I'm so impressed by what you've done. And again, as I said it before, I'm on board with the plant-based, and I'm on board with the health and wellness element. And I think many more of us are too. And it's spreading so quickly. You know that there were certain parts of the world where people might have been a bit more cynical. And sometimes in the UK, we can be a little bit slower to jump on board something. But what you're doing, it's right up my street. So I honestly look forward to seeing what you do in the future. So thank you so much, Jodi.
Well, thank you for having me and thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it.